So we are at Sterling Machinery in El Monte, Southern California, picking up my new toy. And this place is really cool. They have everything here. And here's the new toy. Oh, Raptor gonna unwrap it. Hell yeah, look at this bad boy. Finally got a mill press. So picking up slightly used Rong Fu RF-31 from Sterling Machinery down in Southern California. Mill press is all in the truck, ready to go, ready for our long haul back to Napa. So pretty cool, nice new addition to the Bowling Fools DIY garage. All right, so we're on our way back. We've got about a 6-hour drive ahead of us. We've got the mill press in the back of the truck. We're looking pretty good. It's a great day for the Bowling Fool. Hey everybody, Bowling Fool here. If you've been watching my videos lately, you may have seen a change, right? I went from a drill press to now a mill press. And I want to kind of talk about what this is, how it's different from a drill press, and what are the advantages of a mill press and why I got one. So this is called a Rong Fu RF-31 Mill press. This is the one that's made in Taiwan. They make two different models. There was one that was made in China, and there was one that's made in Taiwan. So from what I've read online, the RF-31 that's made in Taiwan is the better quality one versus the one made in China. And I'll zoom in on those numbers. If you can see the machine weight, that's 270 kilograms. That's close to 600 pounds. That is just for the mill press, and not including the stand that came with it right here. So this stand is probably, my guess, 50 pounds. So we're looking at around 650 pounds for this beast. And I want to kind of talk about the differences of this versus a regular drill press. So I'll kind of show the bottom plate of the 2.5 jig that I have. And if you see this part of the jig right here, this part has been machined out. Now this has been machined out with a very expensive CNC milling machine, but you can essentially do that same thing with a mill press like we have here. And so most mill presses are going to have a built-in XY table like you have here. I know some of my customers have bought the drill press and they got a Vevor XY milling table that you get on Amazon for $100. Well, this one already comes with it, right? So this is meant for machining metal parts. So I'd like to point out some of the features that this mill press has. This one has a 5-inch quill travel. The Delta that I had 6 inches. And unlike the Delta, one rotation is 6 inches. So this is about 1.5 rotation equals 5 inches on this. I can turn this center wheel here to lock it in place so this won't go down. And now I can turn this front wheel here and I can do fine tuning, right? If I just wanted to bring this down this wheel, I can do that, okay? Not really a need when I'm drilling bowling balls, but it's good to have that option in case I want it. If I want to use the wheel, I just unscrew this and then I can use the wheel. Another feature on the mill press that not many drill presses have is I have forward and reverse. So turn that on. If I ever got something stuck in there and I wanted to bring it back out, I can turn reverse, okay? Haven't had to do that yet. Another feature on this is the wheel that brings this whole head unit up. So when you're drilling bowling balls, if you guys do decide to get the RF-31, you got to bring that head unit all the way up to the stop, and that will give you 18 inches from spindle to table. So once you raise this head unit all the way to the top with that handle, you'll come over here to the other side, and you see these 2 bolts right here. You'll tighten those bolts down. Now you'll only do that when you get this completely lined up, because when you loosen those bolts, this whole unit right here, this whole head unit can go left or right, and you do not want that to happen. So you want to make sure you get that lined up and then tighten those 2 bolts and you're good to go. And if you're drilling bowling balls, you never have to really touch those bolts again. It's a done deal once you get it all set up. Another cool thing about the RF-31 is it's 110 volt, right? So I believe some of them, you can make them 220 if you want, but this one came 110. So very easily just plug into your wall and you're good to go. It doesn't take that much power. All right, so if we open this top unit here, you have the belts. So we have 2 belts here. The speed or the RPM of the drill press can be adjusted by moving the belts to certain heights. And on the top lid, we have a speed chart with numbers correlating to the wheels here, telling you what RPM you're at. So I have mine set at 3 and 6, okay, which puts us at 350 to 400 RPM when I'm drilling bowling balls. You can also fine tune the RPM by loosening or tightening this and bringing the motor forward or backward. And mine came with a stand to bring it up a little bit higher. Some RF-31s will come with a stand. I believe these stands, if you buy them brand new, cost around $400. And the cool thing about these stands is they have a storage unit in it. So you just open this up and you got a storage unit. You want to put a whole bunch of stuff. So there is quite a bit of space in there. And I've got mine on plywood boards just because our floor is not even in the garage, and I have shims in there just to kind of keep it even. So I also want to show you how to take off the chuck. This is an R8 taper. If you're not familiar with an R8 taper, R8 tapers are mainly found on mill presses. And we just hit that, loosen it up a little bit. There's a rod in there that I'm just unscrewing. We loosen it all the way up and just small taps with a dead blow hammer until your chuck pops out. And there you go. Right, so this is an R8 taper. Goes in the groove here, very robust, very sturdy. This is a Jacobs chuck that I bought aftermarket for just over $300. Got a 1-year warranty. Very strong. And then to put it back in, just fit in the groove there. And then you'll tighten this top rod up. And just quick hits with it. And when you do want to move the XY table, you just unscrew these bolts here and you can move the table forward and back. Now there are numbers on here. I don't use those. A little bit more complicated if you want to use that. You have to count how many times you've been turning this to get the proper distance. What I've done is I've got adhesive tape. So like an adhesive ruler tape that I've stuck on here. I've only gone 1 inch, have one here, and I also have one down here, right? And I put a little arrow, a little metal arrow on the back of this. I have that temporarily until I do get a DRO, which is a digital readout to make everything super accurate. But it's really accurate right now. If you're drilling bowling balls, you really don't need any more than 1 inch. And then when you get it to the XY coordinates that you need, you just tighten these up and it locks this table in place. This table has a wheel on this side and this side. I've taken the wheel off of the left side just to give it more room. I'm kind of limited with space here in my garage. So you can easily take these off if you need more space. So another handy feature is this little lock mechanism, so I can bring this down and just turn that handle and it locks that in place where I need it to be. So when I'm doing measurements on the bowling ball and I'm trying to line up with my span and my fingers with that razor blade, all I do is bring this down, which brings the drill bit just above the bowling ball, and I can get accurate measurements that way. I put a portable light on here that I got for Amazon for 10 bucks. It's an LED light, does not get hot, plugs in, very cheap. And that's pretty much about it. Very simple. It's a very heavy duty piece of machinery. It's meant to last many, many years. I got this used for a very good price. Brand new, these cost around $4,000. And I can tell you I paid nowhere near that price. So you can find pretty good used ones online. if you keep looking, it took me a while to find a really good one. A lot of them have just been beat to hell or just been used and abused, and this one's been taken care of pretty well. And it was refurbished by the place that I got it at. Only thing that I'll probably do with this is just do some touch-up paint. You can see where some of the paint's been chipped off a little bit. So I'll do some touch-up paint on there. Also down at the bottom of the base, a little bit of paint missing. Not a huge deal. But up here at the head unit, looks really good, good quality. So if you guys are buying a drill press, just remember, it does not have lateral support. Meaning if you do get the Vevor XY milling table, you cannot move this table when you are drilling into something, right? It does not have the lateral support that this mill press has. Mill presses have lateral support, which can go side to side. A drill press only has the vertical support. One thing that most mill presses have is a universal sized XY table. So these distances are pretty much universal across most milling tables or mill presses. The only one that's different is going to be your Grizzly mill press. They decided they wanted to go a little bit shorter, I believe, with the distance. But if you guys do decide to buy my version 2.5 jig, it will fit pretty much most mill presses along with the Vevor XY table. So I've got the bolts here for the mill press. I've got other holes here for the Vevor XY table. Also too, if this looks familiar to you and you're in the bowling industry, this may look like an Innovative mill press, right? Or a Jayhawk. This is essentially the same exact thing, except Innovative takes it and builds onto it, right? They put a DRO, they use an Accurite DRO that costs around $2,500 to $3,000, I believe. They're not cheap DROs. And then they put a aluminum plate on the top of that XY table there that goes all the way across. It pretty much covers the whole top there. And then they'll throw in the round cylinder drill bit holder as well too. But essentially it's the same exact thing. So is it for a DIYer, you don't want to pay 10 to 12 grand for a brand new Innovative. You can find one of these for a hell of a lot less money. And it's essentially the same thing. And you can build it up how you want to build it up, just like I did here. So I had 3 other workers and myself loaded off a pickup truck to the front of my garage. Once I got it to the front of the garage, I actually bought a engine hoist that I'll show you right here from Harbor Freight. And I had to get an engine hoist to lift this whole thing up and move it over to where it was. There was no way I'd be able to shimmy this back and forth with one person. You're gonna have a hard time even with 2 people moving this thing. So if you do decide to get an RF-31 or any kind of mill press that's 600 pounds or higher, highly suggest you get 4 people minimum. And that's just to move it around. With 4 people getting out of the truck, it was very, very heavy still. So just keep that in mind. My recommendation, if I was to do this again, I would rent a trailer. That way I have it down low. I had this on top of a truck, a Dodge pickup truck that was pretty high bed. So it's a little bit more difficult getting it out of the bed, the tailgate. This is what most bowling pro shops use. They use a mill press. And it's just a solid piece of machinery. So I hope you enjoyed the short little explanation about a mill press versus a drill press, and a little explanation about what the Rong Fu RF-31 is. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. If you guys are looking for something similar to this, you can probably find a used one in between. I've seen good, decent ones out there for $1,500 to $3,000. With the really good condition ones being upward of $3,000 used. Like I said, brand new with this table, you're looking at around $4,000, not including the freight shipping costs that it's going to cost you. So I didn't film the moving in process because I was under a time crunch. I had to return the rental truck that I got. There's all sorts of different ways you can start your DIY pro shop. You want to get a drill press? Totally fine. You want to get a mill press? Totally fine. It's what your budget entails. Are you drilling a whole bunch of balls a year to make it so this thing pays itself off? then yeah, I've already drilled enough balls where this is pretty much all paid off. All right, a PSO charged around $80 to $90 a ball, 40 balls, do the math. So I'm very happy with my purchase. This is what you're gonna see in my videos going forward, is drilling with the mill press. Just to let you know, the jig does still fit the mill press and the Vevor XY table. So if you do have a drill press, this will fit either one. Any questions on the mill press or a drill press for drilling bowling balls, hit me up down in the comments. I'll be sure to answer all your questions. So let me know down in the comments if you're a DIYer like me, and let me know what you have. Do you have a drill press? Do you have a mill press? I'm kind of curious to see what you guys, all you DIYers out there, have. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this little short review on the Rong Fu RF-31. It's my new upgrade of the Bowling Fool's Garage. Throw a like my way. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. We're almost close to that 1,000 subscriber number. Once I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm giving 2 bowling balls away. So you want to stay tuned for that. Should be happening probably the end of this month. So I want to thank everybody for watching. Thanks for tuning in and showing your support. And until the next time,